Well, welcome to another Harry's Garage special, and you join us at the Silverstone circuit because this weekend is their classic race meeting. Held 2 weeks after the F1 was here, and Silverstone auctions have their flagship event. There's 150 cars or thereabouts to get round today in this sale. I can't wait to get started, so I'm going to start with this row of Mercedes. Right, okay, this SLR is from 2006. I find it quite amazing that it's 12-13 years old now, but I can remember being on the launch of this car and there was so much passion and so much expectation with this car because this was done in conjunction with McLaren, with Gordon Murray looking at the automotive side and what they could do beyond just race cars, and this was the result. And I think it's aging very nicely. This is still a very special car, supercharged 5.5 litre engine, 617 horsepower. The bit that got us on the launch was just the sound this makes. It has twin exhaust outlets either side. Gordon Murray is very keen to keep an underfloor body on these, have the diffuser so the aero worked, and that meant you got two exhaust pipes just down here, this exhaust pack here and another pack at the other side. And the packaging, the engine sits about here, so it's this enormous bonnet, but it's very mid-engine. He was very keen to get the weight balance right. And this car, it's just had quite a lot of mechanical work on it, just fully prepped for the sale, about £16,000 just being spent on it. It's absolutely A1, around 16,000 miles and guided at 160 to 180,000. Right next door is another Mercedes, which followed the SLR. That was done in conjunction, handmade at McLaren. SLS here, with the gull wing doors, was done at Mercedes by AMG. It was AMG's sort of first car from its own stable. Normally aspirated, the 6.3 litre engine, slightly down on horsepower on the SLRs, but still 583 I think it is. But normally aspirated, a real driver's car was the idea. Now I knew one of the development guys here, major guy at AMG at the time, Wolf Zimmermann. I knew him because he also did the engine work for Pagani. And one little tale he told me when I was driving one of these one day, it had a dual clutch transmission, this. And I said, how come it didn't have an auto? He says, oh, we made sure that the tunnel was narrow enough not to take an automatic gearbox during development, because we knew at some point we'd be asked to put an automatic gearbox in it. So it's impossible to do. And again, these have come up. At one time they were less money, about 100, 120,000. Then this car is guided at the same price as the SLR. It's only 650 miles or thereabouts, so probably a collector version. But again, a very special Mercedes AMG, the likes of which we're not going to see again. Now, two very different Mercedes here. 1954, this was the height of Mercedes engineering. They were really way ahead of everyone else. Completely different cars. Here we have the Mercedes 300B Cabriolet D. I'm not quite sure what the D stands for, apologise. But what a statement car it was from Mercedes, automatic gearbox. But what strikes me about this car, look at the number of doors. It's a 4-door convertible. That's really hard to do. How they did it, if I open this door, you have to think, how does that rear door hinge? Well, it has its own little pillar there, so you can still have 4 doors on your convertible. Lord knows how it drives, but it's automatic gearbox and I'm sure it's very lovely. But what I really want to show you is this 300 SL. Same year, completely different car. What a bookends of Mercedes. So this was their sort of SL, semi-lightweight was the name, 300 SL, very famous car, obviously Mille Miglia, all sorts of things this car did. Gull wing doors is what it was famous for. If I open one of these, up it comes, and you're met with this big sill to clamber in. They have a very clever trick on the Mercedes 300 SL. If I just put this book down, if I do this, you will see that the wheel hinges, and that's how you get in and out of this car. So it's much easier to get in and out than perhaps when you first see it. This car is mechanically perfect. Just looking through the history, it's mechanically perfect. Someone has owned and enjoyed it, has done loads of tours on it. There's little bits of patina on the paintwork, shall we say, but really nice car example. This car is guided at 850 to £1 million. A Just wanted to show you this car. This is the ACEA Bristol. When you think of AC, you quite often just think of the Cobra, the crazy V8 mad engined race car and road car. But this AC also did these sort of cars, much more delicate little coupes. 1958, the ACEA Bristol. Bristol refers to engine. We'll have a look at that in a moment. What I love is the delicacy of these. Cathedral wings on it, the tiny little bumpers. This is optional with the two tubes and these very delicate pipes coming out of here. It's really quite a pretty little car. If you come round to have a look at the engine, it's the same here. It was the originally came from the BMW 328 engine, and there's this straight six in here. They're utter delight, lightweight little car. If you look at the placement of that engine, wheels are here. It's right, back, so perfect weight distribution. A lovely little car, guided at about 110, 120,000 pounds. Concours winner example, this car, and very rare and very usable. Now, one thing I wanted to show you is this property of a gentleman, no reserve collection. There are 17 cars included in the day one of the sale. What you have to remember about this Silverstone auction sale at the classic Silverstone is it's a two-day event. So this is on the Saturday. Now, these 17 cars, no reserve cars, but some of them are really low mileage, really nice examples. I wanted to show you this one. Its particular favourite of mine is the Ferrari Testarossa. You know I've had one. I actually bought it in this hall in 2014 from Silverstone Auctions, and obviously went to Sahara, etc. So they're a bit of a pet subject for me. This is a slightly later one than mine. I can tell that because it's got bolt-on wheels rather than knock-on wheels. Plus side of that is it means it takes normal sized tyres, twin mirror, magnolia leather, red, etc. This one is only 15,000 miles though. It's just been prepared for sale by Bob Houghton. They put new belts, etc. on it, which is what I would like to see. Looked after all its life by Grey Paul Ferrari. Just round the back here, something else I noticed. This being a 91 car, you'll see this slight extension of this grille here. That normally means it's got catalysts on it, but this one has been decatted and got a sports exhaust on it, so it will sound ace, just like mine does. Now this car is guided at 85 to 105,000, so they've come down a bit. Testarossa is about 20-30,000 down from peak. I'm lucky to have the Countach and the Testarossa. I really like the Testarossa as a general go-to flat 12 supercar. I'm enjoying mine hugely, even now 6 years on since owning it. So I'll be very interested to see what this sells for in the sale. But there's some other cars in this collection which I'll come and show you later. Now, I just wanted to stop by this Ferrari 575 because I just love the spec of it. It's a green with tan, although Ferrari have a much better name for the green. They called it Verde Zeltwig, which is a terrific name. And it's an unusual combination, and I follow on Instagram, Make Green Great Again. I think there's a bit of a theme going, and you just don't see cars like this Ferrari 5.7 in this sort of colour. Also, 575 over 550. The big thing is, well, the 575 got the F1 gearbox, and when it was new, everybody sort of ticked the box for that. But now, the engine is a chunk more powerful than the 550. Driving back to back is quite noticeable on power. This was a true 200 miles an hour car. Ferrari quoted 202 miles an hour for this car, 4 point something to 60. And they're so usable. I was lucky to run a 550, did 40,000 miles in it and loved it. It's a gentleman's car. And I think this looks very smart. You could turn up anywhere you want. Nice little things, the shield as well. And this car is guided at 85 to 105,000 pounds. Just a lovely example. Right, now we've got two very special Ford Sierra RS 500 Cosworths. One, the race version, Andy Rouse Engineering prepared back in the day. I think I remember seeing this car actually race at Silverstone back in 1988 or somewhere out then. It was epic BTCC at the time. It was door-to-door action, every race. The RS 500 with the turbos was the car to beat. The little E30 M3s were managing the wet and things, they were banging doors, but Andy Rouse in this livery. Caliber, for those who don't remember, was an alcohol-free beer that was newly introduced for drivers. Even this car just about got me to drink it, but it wasn't that nice actually. But lovely to see here and beautifully prepared. What I loved about this period is how close they were to the road car. So this RS500 was introduced with some little trick bits of air and things to put on the race car. And if you look at them side by side, you can see exactly where it's gone. So the rear spoiler got an extra lip on the back. The lights even are the same. This is just blue film. They actually had to carry the lights and indicator, and if you open the doors up, even the door card inside is the same as the road car. Now this race car, this after the season had finished, it actually went out to Bathurst Museum in Australia and then bought by a famous racer in New Zealand, and it's been campaigning all sorts of races over there, newly flown in from over there back to the UK, fully prepped. I was looking at the engine on this and it's just a delight under here. The trick with these was how much the RS500 got a bigger turbo. You got additional double injectors as well, but it's also road car, race car. It's very recognisable. Even the airbox looks the same to me. And this is heavy actually because this is steel. So a real bit of touring car history. I'm told by someone who already competes in it, they're almost fearing this car arriving on the grid because it's going to be right at the front of the grid. And to me, I think this is worth, it's estimated at 150 to 180,000. I would have thought that always going to be popular. That's a great buy. Now, the RS500 road car we have here, this is just 35,000 miles from new. One owner. What I love about this is basically unmodded, apart from the rear silencer looks as though it's been replaced. But this was owned by a gent who used it minimally. Sadly, he fell ill, and now it's sort of come into the auction as well. So if you want an all original RS500, and they're rare things, this is a great example. In black, that was the top colour when it went back in the day. It got slightly more horsepower than the standard Cosworth, and that, as I say, double wing at the back, slightly bigger air vents here. This one is guided at 65 to 75,000. Nice buy. Right, there's more cars in here to have a look at. Here's one of my favourite little Ferraris, the Ferrari 308 GT4. This is a 2+2 version of the 308 two-seater we know. It's in the other hall, 328s, etc. And what I really like about this was its Bertone design. Up to now, it's normally Pininfarina designed Ferrari, but Bertone got hold of this, and they had an ace designer, Gandini, who also did little cars like the Countach and the Lancia Stratos, and then this car. And there is an edginess to design. It has a sort of hint of Espada in there as well. To me, I really like it, but what I particularly like is how it drives compared to a 308. It's slightly longer wheelbase, and it benefits hugely from it. It's just the slight choppiness of the 380 is gone. It's very compliant. It's a lovely car to live with, and just one of those cars that is actually a surprise. It actually drives better than you expect. Still has the potent V8 in it. It's a 150 mile an hour car. But this is just the loveliest example. The guy who is putting the sale, he has owned it 34 years, and he's been meticulous how he's looked after this. Been grey Paul all the way through. He's had everything done on the paint, etc. It's even got Classiche, and they're just Silverstone auction just checking whether it's the only 308 GT4 with Classiche classification. Lovely. I can't fault it anywhere. Just little details I love on it is how it compares. This is a boot and engine release, exactly the same as on my Countach. So has lovely little details. The wrap round dash you'll see, and the Espada as well. So really nice example. It has the original 14-inch wheels come with it. They're in the box. It's got these split rim, slightly bigger wheels with it, and guided what I think is a very reasonable 40 to 50,000. You won't find a better example than that one there. Okay, I want to show you a couple of Porsches now from the 90s. First of all, this one, a 1991 928 GT. Love it in this colour, the linen interior as it's termed, that light interior with this red exterior, I think sets it off. I think the guy who had the number plate must have owned a type of Ferrari at some point, I don't know, with that number plate on it. This one is a really nice one. I've not seen one as tight as this for a long time, but then it's only done, I think it's 24 5,900 miles. But what is pretty special about this, it's a manual, 5-speed manual in here, super tidy in here. It's got all the books, all the history for them. And this was top Porsche at the time. It was Porsches, were they going to go down this route? We're going to have the other one we're going to have a look at is the Ultimate Turbo. But there was so much technology when I look at this now, with the movable wheel, the steering column went up and the dials went up as well. But there's another little fun feature I wanted to show you on this, and that I have to open the back up with. If I do, you pull a thing there, you can hear lots of whirling happening at the back, because this is actually how it locks, a mechanical lock. I'll lift this up. You've got this crazy curtain here hiding the boot, but some features some people don't know about. There's obviously a 2+2, the 928, and if you're a rear passenger and you're finding the sunshine is sort of blinding, you've got your own sun visors that go down for the passengers as well. That's a sort of example of how thorough the engineering was on the 928. Now let's go and have a look at the turbo. And then we get to this, the 1989 Porsche 930 Turbo. And what makes this particularly special is it has a G50 gearbox, which is just fitted in the last few thousand examples of this one. And also the SE spec, which added some very strange side sills to it, a bit like the Lamborghini Countach Anniversary here, and then these vents here, an open rear wing to feed air into the back. I sort of like these in black. It sort of suits the turbo to me, this sort of colour. Again, linen interior as well. So you've got to think, Porsche had these two ultimate flagship models at the top of its range, the 928 GT and then this car as well. I've owned one of these. I really enjoyed it. I mean, part of me missed the 4-speed gearbox perversely, because it really emphasised the lag of this engine. The 5-speed is the better solution. It does make it a better car, and they're sought after as well. They are worth more. Looks really quite tidy, this one. Inside it's got sports wheel and a little emblem saying it's an SE spec on the gearbox as well. But what gets me about these two Porsches, how different the values are now. The 928, even at 25,900 miles, is guided at 55 to 65,000. This Porsche G50 Turbo is guided at 90 to 110,000 pounds. Almost twice the price now for the air-cooled 911 Turbo, when Porsche wasn't sure which way to go, and it bet on the 911 in the end, and look where it's headed now. Right, so many more cars in here. There's a lovely Integrale. I'm going to have to show you that one. Now here's a bit of an oddity. Look at this AMG Metro 6R4. Have you ever seen anything like it? I mean, look mad anyway, but this one's particularly mad because this is the Group B spec. And they did this to about 20 of the 200 Clubman spec cars they sold off. But what's really weird about this car is, one, as you can see, it's unpainted, and two, it has done a total mileage of 7 miles. Well, it's almost into 8. If it goes into the next haul, it'll be on 8 miles. And it's just as it was delivered by MG back in the day. Quite crazy. I mean, it's 1985, this car. Ignore the wheels, by the way. They're slave wheels, as they're termed, just to roll it around. It comes with its unique wheels. But inside, you see there's covers on the seats. Around the back, there's plastic on the rear window. It is as it was delivered and hasn't done a thing since. It fires up, engine runs beautifully. It sort of hasn't been cherished through its life. It's just one of those time warp examples, barn find if you like, and it probably fetched quite a lot of money in that state, even though it's unpainted, no competition history whatever. Somehow it's quite appealing for this box fresh example. 200 to 240,000 guide price. Go find another. This is a car you don't often see in a sale, the Maserati Bora. This is 1975, this car. They made them from 71 to 79, 540 examples. It's a Giugiaro design, so you might know him better for VW Mark 1 Golf. But he also did this in the Camzin as well. And this was a time when Maserati was owned by Citroën. And the partnership obviously gave us a Citroën SM, craziness with a Maserati engine in the Citroën. and it went the other way. So this has the Maserati 4.7 litre V8 engine that they had, but then a mix of crazy Citroen hydraulics, so the powered brakes were in here and things, and they were showing how modern they were, taking on, I suppose, the Ferrari 512 in this age, so mid-engined, but they added new features. Look at this stainless steel roof, have you ever seen that? And then the disc wheels as well at the side, this sort of very odd futuristic look for the wheel. Then you open the inside and you see the seats, which are just like these giant deck chairs. If I just take that out there, look at those seats, don't you just want to sit in there? And this is a lovely example. This is 16,500 miles, I think it is, from new, being owned by a Swiss collector who's put the car in. We did actually open the hatch as well. This great clamshell comes up and it's all carpeted under there. You don't see the engine. This is additional luggage space. You have luggage space in the front, and then you lift the cover to see the V8 tucked right up into the bulkhead. So a spectacular. If you want a Bora, looks a really nice example, and this one is guided 125 to 145,000. Now, I just had to show you this bike because this is a Kawasaki H2A, and it's a bike very close to my heart. I have an H2B. This is a 750cc two-stroke triple motorbike. Quite mad when it came out. This one dates from 73, it appeared in 71, and the world had never seen anything like it. The world was sort of full of Norton Commandos and Bonnevals, and then Kawasaki came up with this, and this was bonkers. Two-stroke. They came out with an H1, a 500 H1 first, crazy acceleration, and then they made it a 750, and it was just wild. Did 120 something miles an hour, but it's really acceleration, that two-stroke crackle and the noise and the smoke and all the rest of it. It soon got banned in California, one for its fuel consumption. You get around mid-20s of one of these, and it also, because it's a two-stroke and it mixes the oil, it puffs out a lot of blue smoke. But I love it for its complete and utter madness. It vibrates, the engine solidly mounts, there's all sorts of things like that. But as a statement of 70s wackiness, it's great. It's also kickstart only. You move that up and you kick it into life. And it's actually one of the best starters that going. This being an H1 means, sorry, an H2, it means it has a shorter swinging arm here, which means that it's much better for putting wheelies on. So there's lots of shots of in the press when this came out, people putting wild wheelies with it. So if you want a touch of 70s bike madness, this one's guided at 12 to 14,000, and I can highly recommend it. Okay, now this Lancia Integral Evo 2. Now this is part of that gentleman's collection of no reserve cars. A 1994 this car, and a very special colour. This is a white pearl colour, very collectible. Only 365 Evo 2s were done in this colour, and then the martini stripes. You get the white wheels as well. And God, this car is maturing very nicely, getting more appealing as the years go by, and it's particularly in this ultimate spec. It also comes with the blue leather interior as well when you ordered it with this white pearl interior. 215 horsepower at this stage, this 2-litre twin cam engine. It's all the history that goes with it, and what a lovely example to see in the sale. I'd really quite like to take this one away, and it's guided at 50 to 60,000. As I say, it's an unreserved car. Now, it's the final car I'm going to feature because I could stay here all day. There's some wonderful other cars here. There's a Renault Turbo 2 I was desperate to show you, but I've hit the maximum number of cars I include in the video. If you want to have a look at these, go on to Silverstone Auctions website. There's a whole e-catalogue there, and then if you want to bid on it, then you have to register. You can bid online on the day, or you can register to bid and come and get your catalogue and come actually the sale itself. Remember, it's a 2-day sale this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. You need to be in the circuit to get in there, but there's so much to see and so much theatre, automobilia as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming along very soon.